Okay, so we're going to continue on with some more features in Anvil. And to do that, I'm going to bring your attention to pythonanvil.com. This is a 200-page tutorial that I've put online for free. And this tutorial is geared towards developers who have never written a line of code before or never written a line of Python before. We're going to follow along with this tutorial and some of the application examples, but we're going to focus entirely in this video series on the Anvil pieces, the Anvil IDE and the Anvil API. But if there's anything you don't know about Python or anything that's unfamiliar about what we're doing with the Python code, you can follow along in the tutorial and it will explain exactly what you need to know about how the code works. So you've already seen in the previous video how the IDE works. And you'll notice in the examples, this is the classic Anvil editor, which is available online. We're using the newer version of the editor. Some of these images look a little bit different, but you'll see there's still a toolbox and a design screen and a code screen. So basically everything's the same and all of the code remains the same in the Anvil platform. So you've seen how to make a Hello World app by dragging a button. And in this next section, what we're going to do is explore some more widgets and see a little bit more about how you interact with Anvil using Python code. So what we're going to do is follow along down here, and we'll go to where we add a text box. So back in our Anvil editor, let's create another blank new app. We'll start with material design again. And this time from the toolbox, we'll find the text box widget and drag that onto our Form 1 design. From there, we're going to choose the text box 1 pressed enter event. So again, if we click on the text box one widget, go down to the properties, and you see this widget has some more potential events that it can respond to. We're going to choose the pressed enter event. And again, you'll see the code editor open up and give us some default code. We can erase that. And if you look at the tutorial here, we'll just copy this directly in to Anvil. So what this code does is it takes a variable name, my message, sets that variable to the text box 1 text. Now, the way we refer to the text that's in this text box widget is to use the word self and then dot, and then the name that's given to the text box in the properties, and then dot text. So that variable now, once the enter button has been pressed by the user, sets the variable my message to the text in this box, and then we're going to alert some concatenated text where the static text you type is concatenated or added to the text in that my message variable. So if we run this, you'll see we type in name, press enter, and it says you typed Nick. So let's explore a little bit more about what we can do here. We can take that widget, put a label on it, put a title on the screen, and add a button. And we can do some formatting of all those widgets. So let's stop this running application. We're going to go back to the screen. I'm going to go back to the design view. I'm going to choose a label widget. And you can see that I can position this either below the text box, above the text box, to the right of the text box, or to the left of the text box. Let's grab this. We'll put it on the left of the text box. And then I'm going to choose to select this and move it over just a little bit. I'm going to click on the label widget, and we're going to scroll down. Let's have that label say name, so the user knows what to type. let's put another label up top here. You see we can drop a title here, and there are some other places on this default design that we can use to make apps that look as expected. So let's have this say hello world. Give it an exclamation point. And we'll leave this text box named text box one, self.text box one, and we'll add a button. So if we double click on this button, it does the same thing as if we've gone over to the properties panel and clicked on this click event for button one. So double clicking or single clicking here does the exact same thing. Double click on it, it passes us to the code editor and allows us to edit the code for the button one click event. Oh, what we're going to do is erase this, because what we want this button to do is the exact same thing as if we type enter. So you see when you click on text box one, we get this text box one pressed enter code handler. I'm going to go back into the design view. I'm going to click this and I'm going to select text box one, press enter. And then for button one, I'm going to have it run that text box one, press enter click event. So now if the user clicks on the button or presses enter when they're in the text box, it does the exact same thing. Let's go back and make this button a little bit more prominent here by using the primary color. And let's give that a name. We'll just say submit. And then let's go back and edit that code. And what we'll do is have this say hi. And then edit this a little bit. Hi. And we'll change this variable to say name, because that is what that text now represents. So this is just standard Python code. If you've got some Python experience, this should make perfect sense. If not, follow along the tutorial, and everything about variables and everything about Python code formatting and everything else you need to know is explained there. So we'll run this, and out pops our application now with the new header and now with the text entry. And we click submit. And look, we've got a little bit of a typo there. I didn't put a space in. So let's go back. We'll stop this and we'll add a space right here to hi so the concatenation is proper. Click on our button. And it does the right thing because I haven't typed in a name. Here we go. And you can see down here we have the console running. The console only appears when we're running the application in the Anvil IDE. When you publish this, the console does not appear. So you just get a nice clean screen in the actual application. Okay, so now you've seen a little bit more about how to interact with Anvil widgets and how to handle events a bit more, and also how to position items on the screen so that they are next to each other, and how to resize those widgets so that they take up the appropriate relative amount of screen space horizontally. We'll end this part of the tutorial there and continue shortly.